That was lovely. Thank you. Very fitting. Please rise, embody your spirit, and sing 391, Voice Still and Small.
Please rise as you're willing and able and join me in our chalice lighting. We light this chalice, symbol of our purpose to bring more love and justice into the world. We light this chalice knowing our congregation as a church dispersed across communities, not bound by walls, but connected through the web of life.
Good morning. Welcome to St. John's Unitarian Universalist Church. My name is Rita Volz, and I will be your worship associate today. Our worship leader is Reverend Jenn Gracen. We would like to give a special welcome to those who are joining us online. See the cameras? Welcome. We are a community of brave, curious, and compassionate thinkers and doers. We are diverse in faith, ethnicity, history, and spirituality, but aligned in our desire to make a difference for the good. We have a track record of standing on the side of love, justice, and peace. We are so happy you have chosen to worship at St. John's today.
So at this point, I'm going to invite the choir up. So we're going to sing this very fun piece. And we thought we'd sing it at the beginning to, wake you all up, but also because we didn't want to be like, we're now in worship mode, and then this is going to walk into the room. So please enjoy the Caffeine Overload Polka. Feel free to dance a little bit.
Rise and shine, I'm standing in this line to get a cup of coffee. Let's go, this line is way too slow. I've got to get my coffee. Wakey, I'm headachy and shaky. Maybe I'll get a mocha. Not 1,000 times a day, I go out of my way to do the caffeine overload polka. What's the coffee of the day? Will it blow me away? Should I get a cappuccino? Cappuccino. Is coffee stronger than Now my temples pound, I'm astounded by the sound of the caffeine overload polka. Feel the caffeine rushing my veins, streaming, streaming, flushing my brains. Feel the blood rush down to my feet. Feel my heart skip a beat. Hear me talking loud and quick. Watch me bouncing like a pogo stick. Thank you, everybody. Now I got a toodle-doo. I've got lots of important things to do. Driving, 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 driving. Hurry up! Finger, 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 finger. Parking, parking, driving, walking, talking, walking, talking. ATM. Shopping, 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 shopping. Momentary, momentary panic. ATM. Returning, returning. Shopping, 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 shopping. Crash, 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 crash. There before me in silent green shines the most exciting sight I've ever seen. The coffee mafia's got what I need. A $3 shot of legal speed. Top, no, latte. Top, no, latte. Double tall, no foam, non-fat latte. Double tall, no foam, non-fat latte. Coffee, 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 coffee. Okay, I'm back. I want my coffee black. I gotta get, gimme, 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 gimme. Hey, whoa, slower, I know. Give me coffee. How can you be out? Sorry, didn't mean to shout. Please don't choke up. Just one more for the road. My head's about to explode from the double shot. Extra hot, skinny tall, cannonball, personal cup, pick me up. Name I love a Java. Java, 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 Java. Caffeine overload. Polka, polka. Hey!
I have the unenviable task of following that. That was a lot of fun. That was a lot of fun. Please join me in our words for affirmation. This is the mission of our faith, to teach the fragile art of hospitality, to revere both the critical mind and the generous heart, to prove that diversity need not mean divisiveness, and to witness to all that we must hold the whole world in our hands. At this time, we'd like to invite you up to take a stone and place it in the stand for your joys and concerns. If you have any joys or concerns or celebrations that you want to share with us and you want the community to know, please leave it on the table and Reverend Jenn will read it out to the community.
And we place one final stone in the sand to represent all of the joys and sorrows and concerns that remain in our hearts. At this time, I would like to invite any of our children or those who are feeling particularly young at heart today to come forward and join us for our story for all ages. We're going to play a bit of make-believe today. So raise your hand if you've ever been to a football game. Quite a few of you. So remember, this is make-believe we're playing today. Okay? Got it? Don't want to alarm anyone. I have bad news for you. I've just received an advance copy of a statement that will be released tomorrow by our governor. It's very surprising. Here it is. Hear ye, all citizens of Ohio, lucky Kentuckians, effective immediately, are hereby notified that football is now illegal in our borders. I heard those yays. From today onward, it's absolutely forbidden to watch football, play football, or go to a football game. I suppose the question I should have asked is how many of you like football? You can't even stand in your backyard with a football. If you must, buy a Frisbee or kick around a soccer ball. Don't ask why. We have reasons, and we mean it. No matter how old you are, which team you used to root for. Okay, 1, 2, 3. Say the team you like. You will be in huge trouble and go to jail for a long time if you watch or play football in Ohio starting today. So we're pretending that football is going to be illegal. What would each of us do if something we loved was illegal, for those of you who are happy? Let's pretend, what would you do if you could go to jail for doing something that you loved? What would you do if you could get in trouble for doing something you loved? Anybody can raise their hand. Go underground. Anybody else? Go to another state. It's convenient that we're right by Kentucky. Start a protest. Any of you guys have an idea what you would do if you write your legislator? Anybody else? Let's do one more. You have an idea? Call the firemen. Do you have one? Find a new hobby. These are all good ideas. And all of these are possible ways to respond. And maybe this new law doesn't affect you. I heard the laughers. So you shrug it off. Maybe the threat of prison scares you enough to stop or to sneak around. Maybe you cross the bridge into Kentucky every time you want to watch football. And this may sound like a funny example to talk about, but there are some countries where doing simple, everyday things that people love are forbidden. And a lot of times those forbidden things have to do with speaking your mind or practicing your religion. So imagine you woke up tomorrow and found out it was against the law to be a Unitarian Universalist. That it's closer. And yet that's the pickle that some of our religious ancestors faced. Nearly 500 years ago in Europe, people got tired of being told there was only one way that they could practice religion. They began to read the Bible themselves, which was unusual, and they thought about it, which meant they started coming up with new religious beliefs. A few of them were our religious ancestors, and they were part of the movement called the Radical Reformation. And they talked about new religious beliefs that we today would call Unitarian. And these brave people began to practice being Unitarian even though it was forbidden and they could get in trouble, and some did. Some of them said, I'll stop. It's not that important to me. I'll go along with whatever. Some said, I'll be Unitarian underground, in secret with people I trust. Some of them said, I'm out of here, and left places where it was most dangerous to be Unitarian and tried to find countries where it was safer. And a few of them said, nope, I'm going to be Unitarian anyway and talk about my beliefs even though it gets me in trouble, because I can't deny my conscience and my faith. And the truth is we needed all of these early Unitarians, the ones like Michael Servetus, who died because of his courage and his faith, the ones who fled to other countries like Faustus Socinus, the ones who practiced and taught Unitarian beliefs in secret. And maybe we even needed the people who said, it's not that important, because they got to make a choice. You'll be happy to know, some of you, that it's safe to play and watch football in Ohio, even tomorrow, and that it's also safe and to be Unitarian Universalist. Let's be grateful for all of the people in our past that made that possible. Throughout the past 500 years, who made sure we could inherit this faith and take care of it for all of you and the generations to come. That end. Please join me in singing the children out with number 413. Today we have the joy of meeting wonderful families in the Found House program. And I know a lot of us are grateful that Found House has spent the last week here, and to all of you who made that possible. For our meditation time today, I want to share with you the words of Reverend Dr. Sophia Bentecourt, who is the current president of the Unitarian Universalist Association. The tragedy that's happened in the Middle East is happening in the Middle East right now, is affecting all of us in different ways, and I don't know a way that I could say it better than she does. So I invite you into a spirit of prayer or meditation. Beloveds, I invite you to stop what you're doing if you can and sit with me in the depth of this tragedy of continued violence between Israel and Hamas. How to reconcile the cost of occupation and of war. How to nuance two very rare, real histories of oppression and violence. I'm holding close the words of UN Middle East Peace Envoy Tor Winnisland, who said, "This is a dangerous precipice, and I appeal to all to pull back from the brink." We as people of faith can condemn violence against civilians while at the same time engaging the full legacies and histories of oppression that shape such devastating conflict. As a faith tradition, Unitarian Universalists have long worked for peace, and our principles and values call for the goal of world community with peace, liberty, and justice for all. At the same time, we have not engaged the tangled issues surrounding Israel and Palestine in community since 2018. And our last engagement resulted in severed relationships and deep pain. I pray for the people of Israel and Palestine. I pray for leaders around the globe who must respond to this latest flare of violence and the untenable ethical considerations that abound. I pray for Muslim and Jewish UUs who experience the impact of this long strife acutely. I pray that those of us less likely to know the trauma of unending brutality and harm will not turn away from generational loss, from the devastating realities and their root causes, or from the relentless tragedy of war and occupation. Be gentle with yourselves when you need to be, but do not turn away unless you must. We are one global family living tenuously on the same human-impacted earth. Let us center ourselves in justice as we call for peace. Blessed be. Amen.
The many good works that St. John's able to do in our community begins with donations from you. Please give as the Spirit moves you this morning. Our reading today is called Standing with Love, and it's by Tom Belote. This was written in 2015 and talks about achieving marriage equality. So keep that in mind. I know we have achieved it, but as we saw with abortion rights, it can be taken away too. If you are new to Unitarian Universalism, one of the things you will learn is that we are extremely proud of our history. In truth, our history is full of great things, but it also has its share of shameful moments and embarrassing episodes. But we can trace our history and list the myriad ways that we have sided with love. In the Northeast in the 1800s, prominent Unitarians were effective at convincing the public of the inhumanity of slavery, while in California, Thomas Starr King was primarily responsible for keeping the Golden State in the Union during the Civil War. In advocacy for abolition, we sided with love. We were the first denomination to recognize the ordination of a woman. It was in these Unitarian and Universalist congregations that recognized the religious leadership of women that the women's suffrage movement was born. Susan B. Anthony, Elizabeth Cady Stanton, and Olympia Brown are our religious forebears. But our congregations played a role as well, opening the door for the suffragettes to organize inside and deliver stirring speeches. In standing for equal rights for women, we sided with love. During the Civil Rights Movement, when Martin Luther King issued his call to Selma, Unitarian Universalist ministers and lay people across the country answered his call. One lay person, Viola Liuzzo, and one minister, James Reeb, were martyred in Alabama. In Selma, we marched on the side of love, and our blood was shed by violent hate, while we sided peacefully with love. Most recently, Unitarian Universalists have sided with love, with marriage equality. Were it not for the powerful organizing of Unitarian Universalists in states like Massachusetts, Vermont, and Iowa, the equal marriage movement would have moved more slowly than it did. By siding with love, we UUs sped up the realization of equality and dignity for more people in our country. The tides have shifted. Love will win out over fear, love will win out over bigotry, and love will win out over homophobia. If you've ever sided with love, what motivated you? What inspired you? What swelled up within you and gave you the moral clarity and discernment to side with love? Can we side with love rather than being a detached observer of love? Can side with love rather than having a discussion group about love? Whether it's siding with love and with immigrant families, siding with marriage equality, siding with the health care that is more equitable, more available, and better services humans need, siding with peace. Let us ask ourselves from whence we derive the motivation, the courage, the commitment to side with love rather than sitting on the sidelines of love.
Now sing hymn 123, Spirit of Life. Sing it through twice.
All the
Spirit of life, come unto me. Sing in my heart all the words of compassion. Oh, in the wind, rise in the
We have been talking about trees a lot at my house lately. We went apple picking a couple of weeks ago, and now, of course, we've been enjoying all these fall leaf colors. I'll tell you, we moved here from Chicago, and you've got Chicago beat. Addie has been asking for stories about trees just about every day. And they're compelling, and not just for toddlers. We find trees play an essential role in all the major religions. Islam sees tree planting as a form of charity because many others enjoy the products of the trees and their benefits across species. Islam also calls for the protection of trees. The scriptures tell a tale of a young boy throwing stones at a date palm tree to gather fruit. The Prophet Muhammad was said to correct the boy, telling him to eat what falls without harming the tree. In Christianity, trees are mentioned no less than 525 times in the Bible. Humans are the only living beings mentioned more. Trees hold special significance in both the Hebrew Bible and the New Testament. The book of Genesis speaks of the tree of life, which represents God's presence and eternal life, and the tree of knowledge of good and evil, which the tale tells us that people ate from, desiring to be all-knowing like God. The tree of life is a world tree found across multiple mythologies. This tree holds up the cosmos and links the heavens, earth, and the underworld. One of the best known examples of this comes from Norse mythology and is known as the Yggdrasil tree. Several species of trees are mentioned in Buddhist texts. This includes the Bodhi fig tree, known as the tree of awakening, said to be the tree under which Buddha was born and enlightened. Hinduism also names certain trees as sacred to protect them from being spoils of humankind. But I want to tell you about one tree in particular, found in the middle of the Bahrain Desert. There is a tree that the locals call the tree of life. And you can see a picture of it on the front of your order of service. The tree is alone, with no water or other plants for miles around. Temperatures reach 114 degrees Fahrenheit there, and there is less than 3 inches of yearly rainfall. And this tree is over 400 years old. Locals believe the tree is guarded by the god of water, Enki, E-N-K-I. Another legend says that the tree is located on the ancient site of the Garden of Eden. It's an impossible truth. Scientists believe that the tree stays alive due to a long taproot reaching groundwater. Roots hold us close, wings set us free. This is one of my favorite parts of the song. Like the tree of life, our roots hold us close to that which gives us life. Our roots help shape who we are and how we move through life as individuals and communities, and how we deal with the situations we find ourselves in. Consider your family tree. How is it rooted? What has sustained it? What has formed the ways your family responds to and survives in this world? Of course, we are each part of multiple family trees. Your family of origin, your chosen family, your church family. Each tree has roots that sustain us in different ways. Here in late October and early November, we recognize and remember those who have gone before. Next week in our service, Earth Spirit will be helping us honor the pagan holiday of Samhain. You're encouraged to bring pictures of your beloved dead for that ritual. And Samhain is followed closely by the Christian holidays of All Saints and All Souls Day, as well as the holiday found in Mexico, Dia de los Muertos, a mix of Mexican culture and Christian and ancient Aztec religious practices. And each of these holidays is grounded in the idea that it is this time of year when the veil between life and death is thin, when those who have gone before us draw close. Roots hold me close, wings set me free. Rituals can help us remember our roots. They connect us to our heritage and remind us of how those connections shape who we are today. And they invite us into a closer relationship with ourselves and with each other. When she was alive, my grandmother was the person I was closest to in my family. Granny and I shared a love of books. She was the first in my family to get a college degree. I was the second. We discussed politics and philosophy and disagreed about the value of the Electoral College. Still think I was the right on that one. She loved poetry and her family. Before moving to different places in the country, I would make a point to visit her grave regularly and read poetry to her, especially those she loved. And while I didn't believe her spirit remained with her body, I felt closer to her by following the ritual of going to her graveside and remembering her by offering something she loved. The culture of the United States, especially the white dominant culture, struggles with the idea that the experiences and ideas of our ancestors matter. We don't speak of them frequently. We don't consider them when making decisions. Most people in the United States cannot tell you who their great-great-grandmother was. And in some cases, this was by design. White enslavers broke up families and communities of those they enslaved. And many whose ancestors lived through that are unable to access information about their roots, about who came before them. What did they do? Who and what did they love? The stories are lost. But in other cases, the stories are there, we just don't consider them important. And yet they are. Roots can keep a single tree alive in the desert. Our heritage, our roots offer life in unexpected ways. Those who have gone before, having experienced things we will never understand, learned lessons we could benefit from, both when they did things for which we would be proud and when they caused harm. And if we turn the coin over, the same could be said for us. We've done things that would make our ancestors proud, and things that they would have rejected us for, the harm it caused. Roots hold me close, wings set me free. Before our daughter was born, my mother-in-law, who does genealogy, researched mine. She wanted Addie to know as much as possible about her ancestors. And it helped me understand more profoundly that while I did not give birth to her, my ancestors are Addie's ancestors. Her life, even now, is shaped by both sides of my family being in Kansas for the last 200 years. Her roots reach back to a family that had ancestors in the Revolutionary War and a many times great-grandfather who spent time in jail for punching a doctor. I have lots of that in my family, but that's a different day, different sermon. Does my daughter receive both gifts and baggage from my family tree? Yes. And it's actually the LGBTQ community that taught me why. For many LGBTQ folks, coming out of the closet is a risky prospect. People lose friends. Their family rejects them. This is likely one of the major contributing factors in a study that says LGBTQ youth comprise 40% of all youth experiencing homelessness, while they are just 7% of the population of the U.S. It is in these communities that the idea of family being about more than blood has grown strong, deep roots. LGBTQ communities remind us that family is about the people you love and the communities to which you belong. As a white, fat, female, lesbian, Unitarian Universalist minister, I'm not only the descendant of my parents and my unexpected family tree, I'm also the descendant and recipient of white American culture, including white privilege, and the results of systemic racism set up to benefit me simply because of the color of my skin. I'm also the descendant and recipient of the effort of women who fought for the vote and for my right to speak as your minister. And it was a fight, even for Unitarian Universalist women. Because I'm part of this community, I am the adopted descendant of Universalists who taught about unconditional love and grace. I'm the descendant of Unitarians who fought for and against slavery and who promoted education, both religious and secular. As a lesbian, I'm the descendant of women who committed their lives to one another, who sometimes had to hide their relationships, and who sometimes disregarded or marginalized one another. And I'm the descendant of those who struggled for freedom, connection, and peace for themselves and for others. Our heritage is biological, familial, and spiritual for each of us. It is tangled, complex, beautiful, and frustrating. And it's why we're here today. Roots hold us close, wings set us free. And for those of you who belong here, who have claimed St. John's as a part of your heritage, you too draw from the roots that have fed this beloved community. Our congregation is over 209 years old, and we've been a part of Unitarianism for 99 years. We'll celebrate 100 years in April of next year. If you'd like to help make that happen, talk to Debbie Combs, Mary Darner, or me. Brief advertisement over. Our roots as a congregation go deep into the ground, drawing water from a long history. And like every life, St. John's has a beautiful and sometimes painful heritage. We've had a history of several ministries ending in difficulty. We've had deep conflicts that have split or come close to breaking our congregation more than once. We've experienced conflict that causes pain and destruction even today. Some of the conflicts included a touch of irony. In 1865, the church was in such a bad state of repair that the northern and southern German factions who were worshiping together came together to discuss what to do. And as capital campaigns often do, the discussion began well enough. But soon there was such arguing and foot stomping that the floor collapsed, dumping everyone into the floor below. The story is that this ended the argument and they decided they needed to build a new church. Hopefully, our capital campaign discussions won't end the same way. And despite the times of conflict and disagreement, St. John's continued. There's so much to celebrate and love here. Last week, we celebrated our relationship with our partner church in Romania, a friendship of love and support that has been going on for more than 30 years. And over this last week, several of you supported families who spent their evening living in our space. We lived our values of love, justice, and care into the world. We've taken a stand for justice for more than a century. As far back as 1914, we were involved in founding a home for children who lost their parents during the cholera epidemic. And there's so much more to say. I hope you'll participate as we continue to explore our history together by writing some of your memories on the timeline on the wall in Coal Pfeiffer or in the notebook. St. John's has long, deep roots in this community. Deep roots of providing care for one another and the world around us. Dear ones, there's something special here. It is worth cherishing, and it's worth passing on to our spiritual descendants. I thought of that tree for you because I imagine some of you have wondered, how will St. John survive? How will you continue forward? But I wanted you to know that even when the temperature outside is 114 degrees and there's only 3 inches of rain, your roots are deeper than that. There's water there, there's connection there, and there's love that will sustain you. And you, my friends, you each have your own story, your own spiritual family tree, your own connections here and in other communities. Your roots bind you to people and communities full of people whose hopes, ideals, struggles, and successes and failures have in part helped you to be who you are today. There's so much we can learn from those who have gone before. We are the descendants of people who have faced a fear-filled, divided nation and who have experienced a global pandemic, the first one. We are the descendants of millions who in their time pushed the arc of the universe ever closer to justice, love, and connection. Roots hold me close. Wings set me free. I encourage you to take some time this week to think about your ancestors, not just those with whom you share blood or those who raised and loved you. Think about other communities as well. Think about those you're a part of because of the circumstance of your birth. And think about the families you choose, the communities you make a decision to join. We are the descendants of millions from all across these families, and we will only ever know a fraction of their names. And yet they live on in us. We are shaped by those who loved us, those we let into our hearts. But we also carry forward the work, the hopes, the love, the struggles, and the foibles of the chorus of people who have gone before us. People we have never met, but who are a part of the roots that hold us close. We can honor their gifts by remembering that all we build rests on a foundation created by generations. The work we do for justice and change in this world resonates and continues the work of millions. And when we choose love over division, those who have shared those ideas through the ages continue to speak with and through us. Ultimately, we can listen to our ancestors by honoring and continuing that work. And this doesn't mean dismissing past harm. It means working to correct mistakes built into the foundation on which we stand even as we remember others have worked to correct those mistakes too. We honor and listen to the ancestors by doing as Starhawk, a witch and activist, says, decide what is sacred to you and put your best life energies at its service. Make that the focus of your studies, your work, the test for your pleasures, and your relationships. Don't ever let fear or craving for security turn you aside. My beloved spiritual companions, the veil is thinning. Who will we listen to this week? How can we honor the communities of which we are a part? May we embrace the invitation to pause, to connect, and to honor those who have led us here today. We aren't alone, and we've never been alone in striving to make this world better than it has been. May we lead lives that honor the best ideals of our ancestors, and may we give our descendants strong roots connected to deep wells of water. Amen. Blessed be.
We have a few announcements this morning. We have a startup workshop. Please join the board and Reverend Jenn on Friday, October 27th from 7 to 9 in the sanctuary for our ministerial startup workshop.
PM.
PM. Okay.
Good question.
Good. Very good. Yeah. There will be light snacks and desserts along with interesting conversation led by Reverend Dr. Lisa Presley, UUA regional staff. Everyone is welcome and encouraged to attend. If you're interested in sponsoring a local nonprofit for 2023-2024 St. John's Outreach Grant, there is a link to guidelines and applications in the program. Earth Spirit invites you to a special Samhain Remembrance service on October 29th during the regular service at 11 a.m. The theme is loss and letting go. We will have a seasonal readings and music as well as an ancestor altar. If you have a loved one, family member, friend, or animal companion you'd like to honor, please bring a photo for the altar. Additional questions on that, please contact Raven Song. Our October Split the Plate is for Planned Parenthood of Southwest Ohio. Members can make a donation at any time during the month at stjohnuu.org/donate. Online contributions via Vanco will be split 50-50 between St. John's and PPSWO. To have 100% of your contribution to go to Planned Parenthood, members can submit a check to the office made out to St. John's noting PPSWO 100% in the memo line, or submit cash in a marked envelope. And finally, the repercussions of misconduct. The board is providing the opportunity for you to see this workshop and its impact on congregations. Board members will facilitate conversation after showing of the presentation, and Reverend Jenn will join in for the Wednesday viewing. This is on October 25th at 7 p.m. There is a Zoom link for this, and I will assume that the Zoom link is also located on our website.
Let's close with singing Fire of Commitment, hymn 1028, and the only one that has a 1028 hymnal. Please rise, embody your spirit.
When the fire
Our benediction today is by Reverend Scott Taylor. May we remember that we never walk out into the world alone. We stand on the shoulders of brave and generous ones who have gone before. We walk beside companions ready to catch us when we fall. We hold memories of dear ones in our hearts who keep us connected to our center. May we make this our most important work, to remember that who we are does not end at the edges of our own skin. Go in peace, go in love. Amen.